Well, hello and welcome to the Deadline Day show on Back of the Net. It closes in 58 minutes. Is that all our transfer activity done? Maybe it is. But today we're going to go through a Deadline Day timeline and talk about our brand new signings that have entered Dean Court today, including pictorial evidence. Also, we spoke to Jacob Tanswell outside Dean Court from Cherries Live, a really interesting chat about how it all works on Transfer Deadline Day. We'll talk about the outgoing players, one that was confirmed, but plus some rumours and conjecture that didn't quite materialise. Also, we've got a Twitter latest. We'll be having a look at what's going on social media before myself and Tom Jordan take a look at the squad analysis. The players that we've got going forward, will it be enough? We certainly hope so. So it's myself, Tom Jordan, Jacob Tanswell, and later on in the show, we've got Mark McAdam, Sky's man on the scene, that's been reporting all day. He's been at St Mary's. However, he's certainly the man that knows everything to do with AFC Bournemouth, and he's going to be joining us live a little bit later on as well. We cannot wait. And here's the main man himself, Tom Jordan. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I was a little bit Jamal Lowe after the Norwich game, but now I'm got a Ryan Christie and I'm happy.
It can't just be us two. I think we need this one as well.
Hey,
good evening.
Good evening, gents. I had a quick call from my agent, Transfer Deadline Day business, pushed me in here to see what I can do, shake things up a little bit.
Excellent. And you know what? I've got my yellow trim here. We've got yellow graphics. I've got my yellowish Fanta. I was even I've got a yellow towel. No idea what I'm going to do with it. But anyway, we're trying to get in the mood here. And Tom?
Got yellow. Gun, mate.
Excellent stuff. Right, let's talk about Deadline Day then, because, well, Bournemouth fans wanted some action, and it's fair to say today we got it. There was a bit of conjecture about the outgoing players last night, as well as some murmurings of incomings. And on this show, we're going to be concentrating on today's activity at Dean Court and how it affects the team going forward. And look, Tom, we were at Dean Court earlier, and we've made 2 new signings, and we haven't had any senior first teamers leave the club. That's got to be a bonus, right?
Yeah, it's been a good day. I think we were all hopeful of a couple coming in, weren't we? And I think we've addressed the main issues to the squad as well, probably. You always hope for, everything just being, a dream and you get a player in every position that strengthens you. But I think ideally, if you had spoke to most Bournemouth fans, I think we would have said the 2 positions we've kind of looked at, or them kind of areas we need strengthening. We've done that today. And like you say, there's always a little bit of a worry as well with some of the players we've got who maybe would be seen as Premier League quality, to keep hold of them. And I think if it ends now, we've had a really good window from start to finish, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too. And, Tiggs, we've got some talent through the door, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a brilliant window altogether, really. And I think, what Tom said there, I want to echo that again. I think the fact that we kept hold of some of those names, because there was a lot of word out there about Lerma earlier on, and then Billing just last night, and Cookie. I mean, to still have Steve Cook as well, that's quite a surprise, I think, to all of us. I mean, us 3 definitely thought that he might be on his way. So, a really good window, a really good day today, and it's great to see us making some moves in the market positively.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a number of people that are watching live. Thank you to there's 155 of you watching. Thank you so much, and I'm sure that'll increase as time goes on, especially when the real talent gets here. Yeah, we know who we're talking about. Thanks to Heather, who's here. Nice to see you, Heather. We got Mike Irwin. Mike, your mug is off to you. Myself and Tom were delivering some mugs locally today, and we're posting off the international mugs later on. We've got Cameron here. Hello, Cameron. Morgan, Mark Cole's here too. We've got Steve Hensme. We've got Paul Spicer too. Daniel from Florida. George Carter. There are more. I will get through as many of you as soon as I can. But it's interesting to see how certain people regard this transfer window, because some people initially, Tom, we wanted a goalkeeper, but we haven't got one. But the main concern for me, I think, was striker, and we've kind of got one, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. We've got someone that can at least play if we need him off Dom. Dom, we're happy with Dom going forward as the main man, aren't we? But he needs some sort of competition. And obviously with Sam Surridge going, We needed someone to push him. I think Jamal Lowe can obviously play off the wide positions as well, but is very capable of playing up top. Has scored goals at this level, which I think is key as well. Not only has he got goals to his name, he's got it at this level, and I think that's crucial. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that was the priority today. And we have got a goalkeeper in this window. Yeah, we expected one more, but I think it was unforeseen circumstances in terms of the Freddie Woodman one with Newcastle and the COVID, that what's happened at Newcastle has probably stopped us from getting in. But I think we've got 2 goalkeepers that are good enough. We were very lucky last season with Begovic. We weren't going to get another one like that. So it's get to January. If we're still in problems, I think Woodman could still be an option by the sounds of it. But I'm very happy. We've got someone pushing Travers now as well, because that could only help him and help us. But yeah, like you say, I think the striker was the key one. We've got a good one. I kind of expect us to maybe get a youngster in on loan, maybe to get Jamal Lowe, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really interesting because I thought that we would be looking for loan signings, but we haven't. And he's penned a 3-year deal and joined the Cherries for an undisclosed fee, but I think we've all seen the fee, and from Championship rivals Swansea City. He scored a number of goals last season, Tiggs. For the money that we've paid, it sounds like a decent bit of business, especially given the fact that we managed to get, around about 5 for Sam Surridge. That's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, you look at today's dealings, it looks like we probably, for the price of a Sam Surridge, got 2 players in who are first-team players, or you could look at it as the sell-on fee that we got for Rambo when he moved on. So, but one of those is paid for these deals, which is great. So we haven't touched that Dan Juma money really at all. But yeah, I think Jamal Lowe is a really exciting player. And as Tom said, he can play in a number of different positions. And I think that's the thing that I'm really impressed by, the work that we've done throughout the whole window, that we've bought players who can play in a number of positions. And with the amount of games you've got to play, to have that flexibility is great. So if Dom does get injured, you could bring Lowe, but it doesn't mean that Lowe won't play with Dom. So I think that's the really exciting thing.
What interests me, Tom, the most is, have you got a song for him yet or what?
I saw a video. I'm not going to take full credit for this. I did see a video of because I saw that Lowe obviously played with Pittman, didn't he, when they won? I can't remember what cup it was they won. And I heard them all singing the one we have for Kenwyne Jones, the gold Spandau Ballet, and I think that could work well. So I hope we get that one going again. I think that could work really well. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get a great song going. We bring up some amazing songs, don't we, in the North Stand? So it'll be fun.
Yeah, we're absolutely brilliant. So later on in the show, if you're watching, we've got Mark McAdam from Sky Sports. You may be aware that he's actually doing an Instagram live right this moment, but we're going to be asking him exactly the same questions. Watch our numbers dip whilst we speak. But earlier on, myself and Tom Jordan, we were at Dean Court, and whilst we were delivering mugs for most of the afternoon, we also had a chance to chat to Jacob Tanswell. He's from Cherries Live, and this was just on the cusp of Jamal Lowe signing for us. So we're here outside Dean Court with Jacob Tanswell from Dorset Live. How you doing, Jacob?
Yeah, good. Deadline day, 5 hours left, busy, but yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah, and Tom, it's been a very interesting one for AFC Bournemouth so far. It seems to be, from waking up on Twitter this morning, a lot of activity going on, a lot of rumours, TalkSport, 5 Live, Dorset Live, Bournemouth Echo, Mark McAdam, all sorts of media resources coming up with all these things, and it's making a lot of Bournemouth fans excited, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very exciting, and you've got to think we're unbeaten in the league. So we're doing okay, but we look like we're trying to add to that as well now. So, and players to come back as well. So, definitely exciting. And I think all the murmurings at the moment and the things that hopefully will happen, I'm sure Jacob will allude to, that it's positive signs for Bournemouth at the moment, definitely.
Been some pictures of Jamal Lowe entering the Dean Court reception.
Yes.
What do you know of it so far?
Yeah, so this morning, obviously, everything was agreed overnight. 1.5 million rising to 2 million, which is what? 12 Arnaut Danjuma, so that's fantastic. But yeah, he was just outside the Vitality. Him, Neil Blake, Richard Hughes, Neil Blake and Jamal Lowe have gone now. So as far as I'm aware, I think everything's done and we're just waiting for official confirmation.
What happens with these deals, right? Because obviously he's coming from a particular club. Do they sort of agree a certain time that the story is going to go out, like in advance? So, like the media team have got time to take photos and do all their kind of publicity in advance, in preparation for a 9 p.m. release or something. Is that how it goes?
It does vary depending on how open the club want to be about a transfer story. For example, in the past, I've been told about a transfer that's going to be announced at a certain time. For example, the other one, the Origin Nylon one, didn't know anything about it. Kept it very quiet. I did a piece that Scott Parker said there was no new incomings, and then the next day there he was. So that wasn't great, but yeah, it does vary depending on the deal. But the Jamal Lowe one broke this morning, got told about it this morning, so I think that was from all sides that the fee was agreed. And Tom, we're being linked with someone else as well, a certain player from Celtic, right?
Yeah, about time we've got a Scottish Ryan to get behind. Ryan Christie, but no, it sounds like a good one. Obviously, it sounds like he's kind of almost rejected Burnley. I mean, they obviously want that sort of player, number 10, and it sounds like he wants to, probably fit our style a little bit better. He'd probably have to play a little bit deeper if he was at Burnley, knowing the way they play. So it probably wouldn't suit him. But yeah, that sounds like that's a real exciting one. I think he's Celtic like him, but he's only got a year left, so obviously we managed to look into that. But that'd be a good one. I mean, he's away, isn't he, at the moment with Scotland? So I guess that'll be done out there, but hopefully that one will get done as well, because I think Ryan Christie and Jamal Lowe would be great additions for the club. That's exactly what we need. We saw that the whole game, didn't we? A little bit of creativity, a little bit of we almost ran out of ideas at times, and I think them sort of players will be key for us and add to the squad.
What does that say to you that he's turned down a Premier League club that's been in the Premier League for a number of seasons, yet he's joining Bournemouth? What does that say to you?
I think it's the same with Gary Cahill as well.
Yeah, true.
Champions League winner, and now he's playing in Championship. I think Scott Parker, from what people have seen so far, I think it's a very attractive team now. I think from last year, you looked at Bournemouth, I thought they were coming to the end of the cycle, but they look rejuvenated now. And you look at the team, 4-3-3, advanced midfield. Christie will know where he's going to be playing, knows that he's attractive. He's not just going to be lumping the ball into the box for Ashley Barnes every game. So yeah, but I think it kind of signals the end of Bournemouth's pursuit for a midfielder, because they've had such bad luck with getting a midfielder this year. Shackleton's been linked, Flynn Downs has been linked, but now eventually they've got that number 8 that Scott Parker's always wanted.
In terms of potential outgoings, we'll talk about some other rumours that may be happening less. We don't know yet, but there's been talk from certain media outlets about David Brooks, Newcastle. I think that was TalkSport. Tom, what were your thoughts when you saw it, and how much did you believe it?
I was a bit worried, then I saw it was TalkSport, and 5 minutes later it was rubbish, so fair enough. I don't know if it was whether he withdrew, didn't he, from the Wales squad for injury, so I don't know if whether they looked at that and thought he's withdrawn from Wales. Is there something in that? Maybe, and put 2 and 2 together, but it looks like that was something to nothing. And Brooksy seems to be enjoying himself with Scott Parker. He scored a good goal earlier in the season, and hopefully we can get a bit more out of him, and getting better players around him will help. I've said I get a bit frustrated with Brooksy, but to be fair, this season he's played with Mepps behind him, who's a centre half, not bombing forward. I think Jack Stacey was clearly not quite 100% fit in the last game, so Brooksy hadn't had that overlapping fullback. Smithy's barely been fit, so I think when we see that, we'll see the better Brooksy. But it seems like it was something of nothing, which is good. We don't want to let players like that go, because it's not a good statement if you let people like David Brooks go. You want to get back to where you want to get to. So I think Brooksy looks like he's ready to knuckle down and hopefully be a part of a really exciting team now.
I hope so. One of the players that has gone is Kyle Taylor, and he featured very briefly so far this season, but it could be a positive move for him. Yeah, I think he needed it. He's spent a couple of years just on periphery. He's been sent out on loan as he's a Forest Green, and he's always been really highly rated at Bournemouth. They gave him a 6-year contract at 12 years old, and that at the time that was unheard of. No one did that. But I just think perhaps the lack of first team experience just at clubs has hindered him, and I think now he's gone to Exeter, that's going to benefit him massively. Some rumours that are going about Queener, is it, from Watford?
Yeah, Queen. I don't know. Is that how you pronounce it? I'll work out if we sign him. But yeah, I mean, all I've heard of he's highly rated. Watford, was he West Ham before that? Yeah, and he's supposed to be quite highly rated attacking midfielder, kind of play off the wing in that 10 role if needed. But yeah, it seems like he wants that move, and a few teams have been murdered, but no one's really stamped. I don't know if the Christie deal. I don't know if you can elaborate on that, Jacob. I don't know if the Christie deal would maybe affect whether we go for Queener or not.
That's the thing I've been trying to work out all day. They've obviously wanted a centre midfielder. Christie comes in, whether they go for Queener as well. But the thing that probably swayed it into Christie's favour is that Celtic were keen for him to go. Where him and Watford, as far as I'm aware, Watford and Queener were still negotiating whether he stays or not, signs a new contract. So we'll have to see what comes in the next literally couple of hours.
Brilliant. Okay, well, stay tuned, because myself and Tom are going to be back live with you with some more reaction. But before we go, on behalf of Cherries fans, a lot of us just want to thank you for the amazing work that you've done. Like we've missed it for a season and a bit, haven't we, in terms of having some in-depth coverage on AFC Bournemouth. And you launched with Dorset Live and Cherries Live, especially with like 10 or 11 articles in the same day or something ridiculous like that. But since then, Some really good tactical analysis, Tom, and you've been reading through it and you've been really impressed with what Jacob's been picking out, haven't you?
It's been awesome, mate, because we've, I mean, the amount of times we talk about people go, that Jacob's doing a good job, isn't he? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it's really good, mate, because everyone wants to read stuff like that, and it's awesome. Yeah. And we've probably felt like on the pitch we've been great, and we've probably felt like we've missed a bit of that. And you're doing a great job, mate, so keep it up. Really impressed.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was really keen for Bournemouth as well, because I've seen some of the coverage, and obviously I think it's kind of moving away from match reports and stuff now, isn't it? I think people want to know about tactical analysis, people want interviews, and if I can provide that, then fantastic.
Yeah, so make sure you follow Jacob and especially Cherry's Live. We'll pop the links below, but thanks for joining us, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was Jacob Tanswell from Cherry's Live there, and some really good insight there, Tiggs, and I'm sure you'd like to echo how good he's been over the last sort of couple of months covering AFC Bournemouth, right?
Yeah, I think he's been brilliant, and he always takes a really fresh and different angle to things, which is sometimes things you don't even think of, which is what makes it really, really special. And also, I didn't realise how tall he was. He's quite tall, isn't he?
He's next to me, Tiggs.
That's what it is. Well, look, we're going to talk more about Jamal Lowe, I'm sure, throughout the programme, especially when Mark McAdam gets here. And when Mark McAdam does get here, as soon as you see him, pop your questions into chat, because we will put them straight to him and he'll answer as honestly and as candidly as he can. But don't post them just yet. Post them around about 10:30 when he arrives. When you do, post a cue at the start of it, just so we know that it's a question. So we alluded to Ryan Christie, and then it was released this evening, Tom. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's an exciting one, isn't it? As I mentioned, it's nice to have a Ryan from Scotland to get behind for once. But no, I think, he's obviously played, Champions League, Euros. So he's got a good bit of experience, good age as well. Kind of mid to late 20s, good age. And I think it's a type of position that we could really do. We saw that, we were saying, Sam, you and I, that without Billing in that whole game, I couldn't believe how noticeable it was not having someone get that little bit closer to Dom, making them runs beyond and kind of linking the play a little bit more. And I think Christie might even take a bit of a burden off Brooksy from the side coming in, try to be creative. I think we could do with someone else like that. And I'm excited. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I've seen a lot of him or watch Scottish football, but the little bits I've seen are quite exciting, and he seems like a player that's quite highly thought of. Obviously, Burnley were having a look at him as well in the Premier League. A few Premier League clubs have been sniffing around him for a while, so I think that's a big statement that Scott's managed to get him here. And it's one that I'm quite excited about. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what he's about, because I think it's a type of player that could just be that missing piece,
And in terms of his natural position, Tiggs, do you know much about where he would fit in within our current side?
I think ideally he'd want to play in that kind of where Billing's been playing and Marcondes has been playing, but he has played out on the wing as well. So he gives Brooks potential cover, because if you think about that right-hand side, Judas Stanislas has lost a bit of pace. It might be good to have that as well. So, yeah, he offers quite a bit in that respect. Also, he turned down Burnley, which is Premier League football, to come down to us. I've tried to get the good and the bad on him. So I had a little look on Twitter, and it's interesting what you hear. A lot of Celtic fans saying, you've got a class player there. A few say that he's the kind of player that's there for you all season, and in the big matches might go missing. So kind of the opposite of a Marcondes, because that was the opposite kind of feedback we had on him when we signed him. So, but yeah, I think he looks exciting, and he's got the history behind him that you're getting a good sign, and you're getting quality for your money. And he's, as Tom said, the age I think is really important, because you look at this squad at the beginning of the transfer window, and the average age is quite worrying. The lack of experience. You look at it now, all of a sudden, it looks completely different.
What are you more pleased by, Tom? Are you more pleased by the fact that we've managed to get in these new players, or does it sort of please you equally that we've not had any first teamers go? Because it's huge for us, but you just wonder the ones that we have kept. For instance, Steve Cook. You just wonder how much he'll be playing anyway. So surely it's probably more of a focus on the players we've got in, I suppose, and certainly Dom Solanke, at least if he's injured, at least there are options there now.
Yeah, I think it depends who you're probably talking about. I think if we brought in the two players that we did today, but had, lost Brooks and lost Lerma, then they're not looking as impressive. So I think that's just as key that we've kept hold of some of them big hitters. And I think Cookie's going to be an interesting one, because it doesn't seem like he's in Scott Parker's plans. He's obviously brought in Gary Kerr. At the moment, Ibsen Rossi's still around as well. Hasn't had a loan deal out or anything. So, yeah, and we've obviously brought KO in, got Meps, got Kelly. Certainly looks like he wants him as a centre half, not a left back. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And I hope Cookie gets another game at least, because I don't want that Norwich game to be his last for us. Not a nice way for him to go out. But listen, whatever. I think it's kind of it feels like a new era, doesn't it, and a new kind of project. And I think it was important, just as it was important to keep older players, to bring in players to show that people are buying into Scott Parker as well from the outside. And also people like your Brookses, like your Lermers and that are obviously going, you know what, I'm happy to stay here now. I feel like there's something happening there. And I think, I think Jeff coming in and starting straight away against Hull was kind of a statement that I didn't think he was going to go when he started that game, to be honest. And obviously I was quite happy with him staying. So, yeah, I mean, suddenly now you look at it and go, what a squad that is. You got two good players in every position, if not more. And I agree exactly with what Tiggs was saying. We've a lot of people were saying, well, you've only got Lowe for cheap because he's 27. I was going, well, I want a 27-year-old. I don't really want another 18-year-old striker. I think we need a bit. We've got that. We've got some good young talented players. And I think adding a few players with a little bit more experience is going to really help the group. So, yeah, it's all pluses, mate. All pluses.
Yeah, all pluses. So in terms of Christie, it's a 3-year deal at the Vitality Stadium, again, for what the club put on their website is an undisclosed fee from 51 times Scottish champion Celtic. Now, the 26-year-old helped the boys win back-to-back domestic trebles and played in the Champions League and the Europa League for the Glasgow club. So that's an impressive CV, really, Tiggs, isn't it? I mean, Scottish football, we all deride it, but the fact is he has had Champions League experience too. That's massive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're a mini league, aren't they? They're a mini league within the league, Celtic and Rangers. So I don't think you can really judge them alongside. I think it's an incredible signing, really. And if you want an argument to say, is he a quality signing or not? Well, Premier League club wouldn't be in for him if he wasn't. So, you know, we've done our scouting on this, and we've beaten both of those. Be beating teams for both of those signings today. So we should be very proud, I think, of what good business we've done.
So what about, Tom, the players that we didn't quite get our hands on this transfer window? Because they're I mean, look, it's still open for another 35 minutes. A lot of AFC Bournemouth related journalists suggest that our business is done for the day, but there were some other names mentioned throughout the day as well, weren't there?
Yeah, the lad from Watford, Queener, I think it's pronounced. He was obviously linked, but yeah, I guess I would have been surprised if we had got him and Christie. They seem similar type players. So yeah, I think I wonder if it was just, you know, Christie was priority and Queener was kind of an option for us. He's been touted around a few places, hasn't he? And then yeah, we've had a few little links. I think Morgan Gibbs-White was very quickly and then was linked, and then he went straight to Sheffield United on loan. So I wonder if it was just kind of he was linked with a kind of a top championship club, and we were one of the ones murmured, but it sounds like we weren't really in for him. So yeah, and obviously we've had earlier in the window, we've had the goalkeeper situation. Apart from that, I think if you probably sat Scott Parker down and put him on a lie detector, I think he would say everything's bang on, apart from he clearly wanted another goalkeeper. I think his ideal thing was probably, like a lot of us say, would be to go and get Travers some experience, have Nyland as your backup and bring in a first team goalkeeper. But to be fair, you know, let's be real. Travers, yeah, whether we think he's number one, yeah, he hasn't made any glaring errors. I don't think, you know, Nyland made one error at Norwich, but it was one of them games. I think at least till January, I think them two are good enough. We're never going to get Asmir Begovic or a goalkeeper that standard, in my opinion. So apart from that, I think it's pretty much bang on. It doesn't feel like we've missed out on loads, to be honest. And the ones that have come in, you know, Lowe and Christie seem to have come out of nowhere, and they chose us over any other options. So that says a lot, like I say, about Scott Parker and hopefully where they're heading.
I think a lie detector is actually not a bad idea, Tom, because there are so many times as fans, and I tweeted this the other day, we're fed these little mistruths, what seem like and feel like mistruths by football clubs. And it's not just our football club, it's many of them. And I consistently find it hard to stomach, because it's the sort of mendacious sound bites that crap-splain, as I put on Twitter, a player's absence. I mean, Josh King, for how many weeks did he have a migraine? You know, they were just really poor excuses. Now, with Steve Cook, Tom, he was missing from the starting 11, from the squad at Hull City. And then, what was it that Parker said afterwards about his absence?
Well, his absence was, I think he said it was selection-based, didn't he? Which, don't get me wrong, Zeno Ibsen Rossi's done really well for us, but you don't have him on the bench over Steve Cook if there's any sort of plan to keep him around. It's obviously one that Parker don't fancy. He's only got a year left. I imagine with his wages, he's quite hard to get rid of, really, which surprised me. I think if it's a difficult one to get rid of, I think you just utilise him for the year, personally. But, we have got other options there. And, maybe. I mean, I watched that Norwich game. It's very much in isolation. But he's just come out from injury. He didn't look sharp, looked a yard off it, really. Sometimes managers do this, don't they? They come in and they've got that long-term plan. And there's maybe a few players that have been kind of long-standing players at that football club that end up getting almost pushed to the side because they want to go a different route. I always remember Pep at Man City going straight in and going, Joe Hart, you're out. And you think, well, he's just won in the league. He was their main man at the time. And sometimes managers want to do that. Maybe he looks at, he obviously wants Kelly as centre-half, put him as captain straight away. Yeah, it's just the style of player he wants, maybe. It's a real shame for us. And we're all quite similar in the sentimental side of it and find it quite difficult. But from a footballing side of it, is Steve Cook leaps and, above a Lloyd Kelly, a Chris Mepham at the moment, a Gary Cahill? Probably not. Probably not. He's more of a player. Gary Cahill's got unbelievable experience, won Champions League, won the Premier League. But, and Mepham and Kelly are more people that you want to put your hat on for the future. And Cook's kind of in the middle of that. So, I suppose it makes sense for him maybe to be on the way out. But it's going to be really odd if he's just training and not being in the squad. It does seem odd, and we're not going to have many cup games before January. I mean, I think the FA Cup will probably be January, won't it? So he might not play again, but we'll see on it. We'll see. But like you say, I just wonder if it doesn't sound like anyone's even come in for him, does it?
No, that's right. And it's going to be really intriguing to get your thoughts on Cookie. But before we do that, Tiggs, we're just going to say hello to some other people that are watching now, including Ethan, Bernie. It'll be really interesting to see what you think of this window, whether you thought it was solid. We've got a comment here saying it's solid, been all right, says George. Hope you're doing well. Also here, we've got Spells as well. Daniel saying, it's good to see Tiggs smile. Like it.
Oh, thanks, Daniel.
Steve Hensman was telling you to get your Watford shirt off there. James McCaffrey, he's watched the vlog. Sam loves yellow wine gums. Yeah, not sure about that. We've got Dave Watkins here as well. And let's pick up on this one, Tiggs, before we talk about the point we just made about Steve Cook. This is a great point. I think we need to just tackle this. We've got a lot of centre midfielders. How are we going to fit them all in, given the way that we know that Scott Parker likes to play?
Well, we play 3, which is better than 2. So that at least is a slight advantage. I don't know. I mean, I look at the players who've come in, and I think they're not always going to be playing centre midfield, but I still think they'll be shoehorned into the side occasionally. That's what I think will happen. I think we'll see players play not necessarily in their best position, but still the position that they can play well. A bit like we used to do with Josh King, and other players we've done in the past. So I think it's still doable. I think we'll see a lot of rotation. And I think at the moment we haven't seen that because, well, frankly, we haven't had any options, have we, coming off the bench? I think we could see a team rotated around. I think Scott Parker has already spoken at length about how hard a championship season is. And he is, I think, put together a squad that allows him to rest players when he needs to. Saturday, Tuesday, it's going to be tricky.
Very much so, very much so. So then, it'd be nice to get some media insight, wouldn't it? I certainly think it would, and we're going to get that very shortly. In fact, he's here now. It's Mark McAdam from Sky Sports. Mark, how are you?
How you doing, guys? Sam, Tiggs, Tom, how are we?
Really good, mate.
Very well, very well. Last time I saw you, Mark, you were Cruyff turning us on the football pitch at Little Down and leaving us for dust.
When was that? In 1997?
Yeah,
because I haven't done that for about 20 years.
How's your day been, sir?
It's been great, to be honest. I was lucky because I was on the late shift, so I did 12 till midnight. So I came into Sky about 9 o'clock this morning. Got a bit of a line. Normally the deadline day alarms get set around 4 a.m. So I was quite chuffed to set mine for 7:30, and then mosey on into Sky Studios. So it's been great, and on air for Transfer Talk at 12 till 1, and then EFL updates throughout the course of the day with a keen eye on Bournemouth, of course. So it's been a really good, exciting day in London, and it's always nice when your club are busy and active, and Bournemouth was certainly busy and active today.
And what do you make of Bournemouth's transfer activity today with 2 through the door, and that looks like it's it? That's what you tweet yourself. That's all, folks. I think you said. What's your thoughts of it?
Yeah, say that's all, folks. But the second you press that tweet, you're thinking, is it really? Because this is the thing. Deadline day. Scott Parker, Richard Hughes, they get a phone call at whatever time, 9:15. Are you interested in this player? This is the deal. This is what we want. And suddenly they go, oh, yeah, we'll take that player, 100%. And that's the deal. Yeah, we do it. So you can never say never on deadline day, because you just don't know what phone call is going to come around the corner and how that will change the dynamic of things. But yeah, that was pretty much certain. I think that the club had a clear plan over the course of today. They wanted to get some backup and someone who can support Dominic Solanke and a striker, and someone who potentially could play out wide as well. They did that with Jamal Lowe. He was down in Bournemouth early this morning, got the medical finished in the early part of the morning, the second part in the afternoon, and then confirmed in the evening. So they got that deal nice and early sorted out, which was good as well, because it takes the pressure off, because you don't want to go and find a player on deadline day and then find out halfway through the day it's not going to happen. And then you've got to go to plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and try and get anyone you possibly can through the door. So good to get Jamal done. I've got to say as well, I'm so impressed with the signing of Ryan Christie. This is a player that had Premier League interest. This is a player that's played in the Champions League, plays for the Scottish national team. Good experience. He's at a good age as well. He's 26 years old. He's an attacking midfielder. A good character as well, which I think is important. I think you'll all agree, boys, that Bournemouth's about being a community club. It's about spirit. It's about togetherness. It's about good attitudes and players that want to play for Bournemouth. You're not coming to Bournemouth for big money. You're not coming to Bournemouth for 50,000 people cheering your name every week and millions of followers on Instagram and social media. You're coming to Bournemouth to be a part of the club, a part of the history, and a part of a really good, exciting project. Young players that play attractive football, and it's a great place to live. So I think the signing of Ryan Christie is really huge. And throughout the course of today, I was genuinely expecting someone to phone me and say, he's changed his mind. He's got an option. He's got an option at Palace. He's got an option at Southampton. There's a Premier League side that want to offer him more money, and Bournemouth just can't compete on that level. So the fact that we got the one, early doors, and then to follow it up with Ryan Christie, 2 brilliant pieces of business by the football club. And I think, hats off, because you can see clearly they're not spending huge amounts of money. They're not wasting money. They're being careful with the purse strings. If Bournemouth need to be careful with the purse strings to make sure there's a football club in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time, then that's fine by me. And the fact that we've got a lot of young players there now coming through as well, I think you can sort of see the project that's going on. Scott Parker's got a huge challenge on his hands to try and get these young players together, to gel, to play with a mix of experience. But I think, overall, you have to look at this summer and be really pleased with what the club's done.
Yeah, definitely. Mark, I was going to say, I don't know if you knew anything about, we were talking earlier about the Steve Cook situation. It just seems a really odd one. Like, it felt like to me, well, it's inevitable he's going to leave, but we haven't heard any club come in for him. And he's just going to be sat there, just not doing anything. And that just seems mad for a player who was still one of our best players last season.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, and I appreciate and understand what you're saying. There's no question. Cookie is a Bournemouth legend. He's been there through thick and thin. He was there at the start of the project. He was there at the end of the project, and he's at the start of the new era of football at Bournemouth as well. So, in that respect, I think it does feel a little bit bizarre, because he was one of the better defenders at the club last season. New manager, new coaching staff, new players. I think you've got to be honest as well. Did we expect Zeno Rossi to play the way he's played and establish himself within that first team squad? No. So that's a bonus that we didn't expect. He's a young player as well, so you want him to kind of develop and be a part of things. You don't want to just send him out on loan. You look at him and you think, well, actually, you've started really well. You've made a couple of mistakes, but there's clearly a good player in there. You've got some height as well, which is nice, because it's always good to have a different attribute in a defender. I think obviously Gary Cahill was offered to them as well. It wasn't a hugely expensive deal for Gary Cahill, but someone who's got the experience you need. I think Scott will play 3 at the back as well. So if you've got 3 defenders on the pitch, you're going to need at least 1, probably 2 on the bench to give you options. You know that in the Championship there's going to be players that get injured. It's a long season. You've got Saturday, Tuesday. Hopefully we get decent progression in the football league in the FA Cup as well, so that will add another 2 or 3 games potentially. So all of these players are going to be valuable. I think Steve Cook is going to be incredibly important, particularly in the dressing room as well, around the young lads, developing players, and you just know that at some stage someone will get injured, because that's football, and he'll be back in that team. He'll be back at the Vitality, and he'll be back at the heart of defence, playing and doing what he's done for so many years. I think, if I'm being honest, I try and be as honest as I possibly can. There was a little bit of interest, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. I think Cookie was, open to potentially playing if the right opportunity came. But I also think he was keen to stay and play and be a part of Scott Parker's plans, and prove to Scott and the rest of the squad that he's still got it. He's still got everything to offer, and he's still an excellent defender in the Championship. So I think, as a Bournemouth fan, I'm delighted, because I'm looking at those defenders and I'm thinking there's a good mix there. There's good options, and I think this could be a really good. Good exciting period for the club, and I'm delighted to see someone like Steve Cook still there, because he's the one that we can all, he was there when the good old days were there. So it's still nice to see a familiar face and someone that's got that connection with the fan base, and who appreciates the journey the club's been on.
Just building off the back of that, Mark, did you get the inkling there was much interest for any other Bournemouth players? I know we didn't want to let any go, but there's always that worry, isn't there?
Yeah. I don't think there was, I know there was a David Brooks to Newcastle thing, and I sort of laughed when I saw that, and no disrespect to the media organisation that put it out, but it was one of those you sort of thought, well, Steve Bruce has said 56 times that he's got no money to spend. They put all their eggs in the Joe Willock basket. David Brooks was going to cost 20 million quid, 25 million quid. They just didn't have the money to sign him. So I don't think that was ever going to be something that would happen. I think there was a bit of interest in Philip Billing early on in the window. I think Philip Billing has turned around and said he loves it down in Bournemouth. He's excited about playing for Scott Parker. He wants to be a part of Scott Parker's team, and he wants to develop as a player. Didn't want to move, so he wanted to stay, even though there was potentially an option for him to move on. So I think that's gives you an indication as to Philip Billing's mentality. He wants to be a part of this Bournemouth side. I don't think there was a lot of interest in anyone else, really. Lloyd Kelly, no. I'm just trying to, Meps, no.
Lerma?
I don't think Lerma. I think maybe a couple of Spanish clubs would have flirted with the idea of taking him, but Bournemouth spent, he's Bournemouth's record signing, £25 million plus. Are we going to let him go for less than 20? No. Has anyone in La Liga got any money? No. So where was the options for him to go? Back to the Premier League? Yeah, but did anyone have a sniff on him? Not really. So I think it was quite clear that he was going to stay for this season. Another good addition in the Championship. He should run every single midfield every single week. He should be a dominant player for Bournemouth this season, and he should really stamp down on the Championship and show what he's made of.
People tend to,
but yeah. No.
People tend to criticise the board sometimes for certain signings or inactivity in the transfer market, but when you look at what we've done this window and also the players that we've shipped out, the money that we got for Sam Sturridge, and look at the 2 players today that we're replacing him with, the board are pretty competent, aren't they?
Mate, you know what? You speak to Man United fans right now. They've signed Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho and Ronaldo, and people will still have a pop at the board. You could win the league and people will have a pop at the board. You could get relegated, people will have a pop at the board. That's football. Everyone will have an opinion, everyone will disagree. I think the one thing that you can only say about the Bournemouth board is clearly they're careful about the money they spend. No problem with that. I think you have to look at what they've done. I think they've made some good, sensible signings. Bournemouth got to the playoffs last year. Should we have gone up? Yes, maybe. But 2 teams went up, and then the playoff is a lottery. So, they had a good season. It could have been better, yes, but getting into the playoffs is a good thing. You ask Stoke fans, you ask Huddersfield fans, you ask Charlton, Leeds, any of these teams that have gone straight back down to League One after relegation from the Premier League. I think the fact that we were there or thereabouts was a positive. I think the players they've signed over the course of this summer have shown that they've got the ability to recognise good talent. Let's be honest as well. I say this all the time, little Bournemouth, but we're convincing players like Emiliano Marcondes and Ryan Christie, who have got interest from bigger Championship sides and Premier League outfits, but they're choosing to come to Bournemouth. I think that tells you a lot about what we've got here, the kind of ethos of the club, the people around the club, and what they're doing. So, I think, hats off to the board. I'm a Bournemouth fan. I want Bournemouth to be successful. I want us to sign the best possible players. Do I think we could have got better players? Yeah, but would that have required more investment, more money, more gambles? Of course it would have done. But what they've done is they've made some really good, astute signings that are sensible, and I think will have a big effect on the Championship this season.
One thing that I found quite interesting, Mark, is we've got a couple of loan players, but it sounds like we've got an option to buy on both of those players. Presumably that's if we manage to be successful this season. Do you think we can be? Do you think we can get promoted this season? And do you think Morgan, Rodgers and Leif Davis might be someone that we're interested in?
Yeah, I think the fact that they've been brought to the football club, I think if you look at historically what Bournemouth have done, it's always been about signing young players that are good in the Championship, huge potential, but could also play in the Premier League. They could make that jump. That was always the remit under Eddie Howe. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty much still the remit now, by good young players that have got that potential to go up a level. Morgan Rodgers, I think, is potentially a really exciting signing. I watched him play a number of times for Lincoln City last season. He was frighteningly good. And the great thing about Morgan is he's got more levels to his game. He's coming from Manchester City. He's not coming from any old Premier League club. He's coming from one of the best teams in world football over the course of the last 5 years, from the best coach, the best academy setups. He's got the potential to be a huge player. When they told me that he had an option to make that deal a permanent one, providing success this season, at £9 million, bargain in my mind. I was really excited. I could be wrong, of course. It's football. You need the player to develop. He's only a young lad. A lot of expectation on his shoulders, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's gone from League One to the Championship. That's a big jump in itself. But I think Morgan's one of those players that, given time in the right environment, could be really, really good for Bournemouth. And the same for Leif Davis. Versatility, play at left back, play at right back. He's got pace and energy, wants to get forward, good delivery into the box. And again, he's coming from a big club in Leeds who know how to develop players. We've seen with Lewis Cook, good grounding, good potential, good character. He's everything that Bournemouth is about. And once again, another player that I'm looking forward to watching and developing this season under Scott. And can we get promoted as well? Last question, sorry.
Yes.
Definitely. I think the Championship's weaker this season than it has been. The clubs have been hit really badly financially, and it's not obvious there, but they're all struggling. They really are struggling. There's no money. They've had no income virtually for the last year and a half. So, the level of the Championship has undoubtedly come down, and that's where Bournemouth have got to capitalise, and I think they can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like we're all very happy with the deadline day. I think virtually every Bournemouth fan is. The only other position I thought we might have a look at would be another goalkeeper. We've heard about Woodman and obviously the situation at Newcastle. It seemed to be taken out of our hands. Was there any other goalkeepers we were looking at, or do you think it was Woodman, or we'll just have what we've got?
Yeah, I think from what it's a funny one because Freddie Woodman, was all done and dusted. Bournemouth medical, everything great, and then Dubravka, and then that injury changed the whole dynamic of the situation. So, I think that's a bit of a shame for Freddie, but of course he's going to get his opportunity at Newcastle now in the Premier League, which is better for him. I think there obviously was the Orjan Neelan deal as well, which was going on in the background, so that was another option. I think they would have probably let Will or Mark go out and get games if they'd brought in another goalkeeper. But when you've got Mark Travers, you've got Neeland as well, who's got experience and whatnot. I think there's two goalkeepers there. The third goalkeeper's never going to play. In theory, the goalkeeper on the bench is never going to play. So if you're paying someone $20,000 a week, you're just wasting time, wasting money. So Mark's good enough, Orjan's good enough, and Will Dennis as well is a big lad. Could be okay. So I didn't see the entire list of who they were looking at goalkeepers wise, but. Who was out there? I don't know who else was out there that potentially could have come in and been a good addition to the club and to the squad. So, I'm quite satisfied with the goalkeepers we've got. So I think they're, two good goalkeepers that will fight tooth and nail and compete. And, you might see chopping and changing. You might see one goalkeeper that's got a jersey for 4 or 5 games, doesn't have a good game, and Scott decides to change things. And then you see him and you think, right, okay, I don't know. Let's wait and see.
Okay, so before you go, Mark, we've had a few questions in chat and we'll put them to you and we'll make them short and sharp. So feel free to give 1-word answers, no comment, whatever you want to do with this. Paul Kenwood, Carter Vickers on a free next summer?
Yeah, possibly. I think the one thing about Cameron is he surprised everyone when he joined Bournemouth. He took a little bit of time to get into the team because of his injury, but when he got into the team, he was a great player, strong, athletic in his ability to defend, and he added something a little bit different. And that sort of powerful defender at the back is always important. Someone to challenge and win the ball back. Difficult to get the ball past him. Free transfer. I'd be surprised if the club weren't at least having a little sniff.
Let's have a little one here. We got Fulham and West Brom look very strong. It's going to take an incredible amount to make automatic promotion. I don't know. I'm feeling that the amount of signings we've made now, we made 7 over this window. At the beginning, I thought we might be playoff contenders. I think we might be able to push for those top 2. What do you think, Mark?
The optimist in me says yes, but the realist in me says probably not at this stage. I think Fulham, lock stock, will go and win the title. No question about that. I think they've got the best team on paper. They've got a good manager at this level. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. No question about Fulham. West Brom, again, experienced manager, good players, good team, good experience in that squad, a little bit of pace. I think they'll be difficult to beat as well. I'll tell you the team that I think will be right up there. Queen's Park Rangers. Has just been there a few years, clear identity, clear philosophy. They've made some incredible signings. I don't know if the Andre Gray deal got done, but he'll add something, especially with Charlie Austin up front. I think they could be, a real force this season. They could go and win sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, be unbeaten for 15 games and find themselves in sort of second or third, come January, February time. So, yeah, I think they could be a dark horse for the championship this season. And then the rest of the teams will be there or thereabouts. I think the key thing is just build that momentum. Every time you lose a game in the championship, how do you respond? If you win the next game, I think that shows a lot about the team, the mentality and the ability they've got. If you lose 2 or 3 games in a row or don't win 2 or 3 games, I think that's when you start to get undone. And I think that's where you might find yourself 6th, 7th, 8th or something like that. And you might find things a little bit more difficult. But great thing about this season is we don't know, but we're all filled with optimism and excitement now because, this is the time to be excited. New manager, new backroom team, new players, new era. Let's get behind the squad. Let's get behind the club and see what we can achieve again. As Bournemouth's motto is, together, anything is possible. And we're a small club, tight-knit bunch of fans and very good young squad. Let's get together and see what we can achieve this season at Vitality.
So I'm wearing a top that's got a little bit of yellow trim. Tom's got a yellow t-shirt. Tiggs, I think you've got a yellow face mask.
Got a little black ties. Look at that. Isn't that nice?
Steve Hethersman writes though, where's the yellow tie, Mark?
Yellow tie is from 2019. That's Jim White. That's gone. That's been done and dusted.
So we're just copying.
Yeah, it's blue today. I'm trying to find something yellow. There's nothing yellow around here either, to be honest. But I have got this brown that's just keeping an eye on me. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that.
You don't fancy playing up front, does he? In case we.
Yeah, we've got Jamal Lowe.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, you don't need the phone ball.
That's true.
Absolutely superb. And also, Chris Edwards, before we go, which championship teams do you think did well in the transfer market today?
Queen's Park Rangers. Sort of today / the whole of the summer window. I think they've been brilliant. Who else has done really well today? I'm trying to think. Swansea, loads of ins and outs at Swansea. Clearly, relegation from the Premier League. They've not got promoted again. Financially, things are tough. Hence why they're letting players go and bringing in players on loan. So, Swansea were busy today.
Did Reading get Andy Carroll in the end?
I think, was he linked with Reading? Was he linked with
Swansea? They got Danny Drinkwater, didn't they, Reading?
Yeah, it was I don't know whether the Andy Carroll one got done. Andy Carroll at this level, he should be battering defenders and scoring 20 plus. Interesting. Keep an eye on Reading. They've lost their way a little bit, but I like Paunovic. I like Val. He's a good manager, plays the right way. It'd be interesting to see how they develop as well.
Finally, just before we go, Daniel, the AFC Bournemouth fan in Florida, said for people who may not have seen, talk about the things you said on Instagram regarding about players out on loan for AFC Bournemouth. Do you think that is going to be a possibility to have players going out and getting some experience?
In terms of today, do you mean more players to go out today or just...
Well, he's mentioned specifically Gavin Kilkenny by the looks of it, but it seemed to be from what Scott Parker was saying that he wouldn't be against sending some AFC Bournemouth players out on loan. But is that something that's been entertained?
Yeah, I think we all know that players out on loan is a good thing. They develop. Look at I don't know. You could talk. Rio Ferdinand came to Bournemouth on loan. John O'Shea came to Bournemouth on loan. Jermaine Defoe came to Bournemouth on loan. There's loads of players that have come to Bournemouth on loan, done really well, and gone on to achieve big things in their career. The EFL loan system is crucial to the development of young players. We've got Morgan Rogers. Where will Morgan Rogers be in 5 or 6 years' time when we're talking about loan? And that's the same for Bournemouth. If they want players to be in the first team in a few years' time, it's getting out on loan. It's getting playing games. There's probably 1 or 2 players in that Bournemouth dressing room now that really probably should have played 50 games last season, and they didn't. Yeah. And how much of a better asset would they be for Bournemouth now if they played 50 games in League One or League Two last season? So I think, as I said, Gav Kilkenny, I think there was a potential option for him to go out on loan, but just didn't quite work out. And that would have been a big boost for him. But also the fact that we've got him, I think, he's going to develop as well as a player. Yeah. Scott Parker's position. Scott's going to probably want to get his teeth into Gavin and really improve him as a player. So that would be an option. I know there was a couple of other sniffs at some of the younger players, but a lot of the players that I think they would have earmarked for potential loans out at the start of the season or the start of the pre-season, they probably looked at and thought, actually, they're probably ready for us now. And obviously, Scott was forced into playing some of those players at the beginning of the season because of injuries and suspensions and, players leaving and all that kind of stuff. And actually, they've got there's some players here that are ready now. They're going to be there or thereabouts for a championship squad. So, I don't think there was too many players that potentially would have been leaving today, maybe 1 or 2. But as I say, it's a tough window. Not many options for clubs and not a lot of money around. And actually, instead of loaning someone to League Two, keep them in the building, keep them in training, develop them yourselves, play some good games, and then Scott's got the option if he wants it.
Amazing. Well, Mark, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time, buddy, and appreciate it's been a very long day for you. But thank you very much for taking part tonight.
No, great to see you, Sam, Tiggs, Tom. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Probably drinking late into the night and chatting all things AFC Bournemouth. So can't think of anything worse than doing that with you boys. So it's all good.
Lovely, brilliant. Thanks very much, Mark. Take care. See you later.
Cheers.
And it's great to see Mark there from Sky Sports. Really appreciate his input there. And, as always, fantastic to get some insight. So look at our transfer window as a whole then. These are the bad boys that we've got in. So Marcondes, Gary Cahill. I mean, just scroll down the list. Tiggs, are you happy with the group of players that we've got in?
I really am, actually. I mean, when you look at that, I said it earlier, but at the beginning of the season, when we looked at the team that we were going to have to be putting out, and we were thinking, they're young, are they good enough? Well, they are good enough. But now we've got these 7 as well. I just think the future looks really, really bright at the moment, and I'm full of positivity for the season ahead now.
Yeah, me too, Tom. Feeling good. Look, you know what? I felt awful after Hull. I felt as though we've got the players, but the players didn't put in a shift. Did 2 players really change that?
I think what's key is that what we've got to remember is we've added to the squad and we've got players coming back that haven't been available, etc., etc. And I think you could see with certain players, Lerma, Pearson, Stacey, they weren't sharp. They're not quite ready yet. We've got this international break, and I also think with certain players, maybe a Brooksy, for example, they've got this thing on them like, oh, will someone come in for me? Once the window's shut, that stops all that noise, which I think automatically helps a club like Bournemouth. But I also think we've added to the group, and people forget we're unbeaten. We haven't lost in the league yet, which is mad. I think what we've managed to do with the fixtures and the players we've had available to not lose a game, I think, has been brilliant. 3 away games, 2 home games. West Brom, probably one of the favourites to get automatic promotion as well in that 5. Birmingham away, they've started well. So we've had a tough start, and I think Scott's done really well to kind of squeeze as much as he can out of the group he's had available. And I think Mark made a good point. There was probably players in there that he thought, well, I'm probably going to send them out on loan, but I'll play them now. And he's thought, hang on a minute, they're not bad, Because now I think if you ask most Bournemouth fans, they'd be happy with Jordan Zamora being our number 1 left back, for example. He's come out of nowhere, whereas I wouldn't have been surprised at the start of the season if he was maybe a guy on loan. So, I think we found some pluses from not having the big squad. And then we've got to the international break unbeaten, nearer the top end of the table. Now we've been able to bring the players in. It's Scott's team now, and he can work with them. We've got a few away, but we've got most of the group here, haven't we? So, and Scott will get into them, and then we've got some fixtures. They'll come quick and fast now after the international break. So it's exciting. It's exciting, and I think I mentioned it before, but I like the group. I like the blend of the group. We were saying earlier about the ages and the mixture of experience and youth, and I like it. And we've made a massive profit as well. Remember, with Dan Juma's fee, Begovic off the wage bill. Not only have we, the squad looks good, we've also made a bit of cash. So, ticks all the boxes, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So it's worth just mentioning at this point also that Exeter City have signed AFC Bournemouth midfielder Kyle Taylor for an undisclosed fee. The 22-year-old had agreed a 3-year contract at the League Two club, having come up through the Cherries Academy. He made 3 first-team appearances for Bournemouth in cup competitions, last coming in in that 6-0 Carabao Cup loss to Norwich last week. He started that one, in fact. But yeah, he spent some loan spells also at Southend United and Forest Green Rovers the season before as well. And Tom, I didn't quite realise he's been at the club for bloody ages.
10 years, isn't it?
Yeah. I forget because he's so young. I mean, he's just a kid that's is one of our own here, I suppose. But he's always been someone. I think Eddie played him in cup games. Like, he's kind of been knocking on the door, but not quite. He'd probably come through the ranks at the wrong time, to be honest. If he had come through the ranks, a little 10 years earlier, he'd probably be, playing every week. But I think similar. It feels similar to the Jack Simpson one. But he didn't play as much as Jackson, where it got to a point where he's probably thought, I need to go and play. I've got to. What I like though is Scott Parker went, I'll give you a go and I'll judge for myself. He started him against Norwich. I remember he started in the Chelsea game, didn't he? The late friendly, and kind of gave him an opportunity. And he's obviously looked at it and thought, no, he's not quite ready. And Exeter have come in and he's thought that's a good deal for all parties. And to be honest, you forget how strong our squad is. And I've seen him, and he'll be fine in League Two. I think he'll be a good player in League Two, to be honest. But it wasn't going to happen here, was it? I don't think, especially with the options that we've alluded to in that position as well. Probably added to the fact that he's gone permanently, I think. But yeah, wish him all the best. It does feel like he's been here for a while. But I think he'll do fine. So it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. Now, before we move on to what we're going to do next is we're going to choose our chosen 11 if everyone is fit. It's coming up in a moment. This is Back of the Net, and it's 11 o'clock. The transfer window has slammed shut. Why does it always have to slam shut? Can't it just be closed really nicely and just do it quietly on the match? But no, it's slammed. So deals are done. There's a 2-hour grace period, so some final paperwork might be going on, but it doesn't look like anything else is happening for AFC Bournemouth. Something that was happening for us today, Tom, was this. Delivering mugs to the people with BH postcodes. We got through about, 12 of them. There's more to go. Plus, we're going to be posting some out. That's Andrew Roper there and his son, Bo, and also a couple of scallywags in the background there. How did you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it? It was good to put some faces to the kind of usernames.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah, and a few that we've seen on the free-for-alls and things like that. It was really nice. And nice to deliver them, but just have a little chat and thank them as well for the for all the support and watching us guys do this. So yeah, it was nice, wasn't it? Really good, and good day all round, mate. Lerma's still here, by the way.
Mate, that's what you want. And you know what? One of the people that we visited, we won't say any names for anonymity, but they had a seat from the old stadium up against, actually sort of bracketed to their fence, so they could actually have a sit down on one of the old seats from the old Dean Court Stadium. Plus, Tom, what do they have in their garage?
Yeah, and they had what was it? It was kind of the rules and regulations,
Ground regulations,
ground regulations that were obviously put up, kind of guidelines or whatever in the old stadium, and they obviously managed to take that on. So really cool. It was like going to have a little memorabilia in the garage and that. Really good. So that was really nice to see. Yeah, and have a good chat with him. So that was good. Cheers, Dan.
Yeah, it was great to meet you too. Blue tick Dan. We didn't even realize you're blue ticked on Instagram, mate.
Blue ticked.
That's unbelievable.
We won't mention what he was, his attire today. I'm not sure about his clothing today when we saw him, but he's welcome to mention that if he wants.
We didn't look that much better, to be fair, mate. But yeah, really cool to see you, Dan and Chris Edwards. Yeah, we love doing it, and it's nice to actually meet people now that we can in the flesh, and deliver some mugs. Why not? And yeah, it did feel really cool to do. Right then, okay, let's just assume that everyone's fit, everyone's ready, everyone's available. So right, Will Dennis in goal. We'll start now. What? Come on. Tiggs.
Do you know what? When Nyland went in goal in the last game, because Travers was feeling poorly, I was thinking, is that because I didn't know Travers was poorly. I was thinking, is that a sign of the times? Is that the way it's going to go? But for me, I'd probably still give it to Travs at the moment. I think Nyland's got more experience. I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
I would rather us go Travs until we can't go Travs anymore. He has a couple of bad games. I think Mark kind of briefly mentioned it. Yes, we might not have got the nailed on number one. I think what Nyland might do with his experience is push Travs on, and I think Travs will know. He's if he has a bad game now, he's going to get replaced. So I'm happy to go with Travers and see how he does and kind of back him until maybe we need to change it. But Nyland had grabbed the jersey off him, has he, in them 2 games? So. I would stick with Travers for now.
Everyone in chat is saying Travers. Right, we'll go to player 5 next. So everyone in chat, put 5 and then put the player so we know who you're talking about. Just put number 5 and then the player that you'd play at right back, obviously. So let us know what you think there. Tiggs, this is a difficult one, really, isn't it? Smith or Stacey? I suppose that's the moral dilemma you've got.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, you could argue it depends who you're playing against and how you want to play. But for me, you have echo the same kind of argument for Travs. I love Adam Smith, but Adam Smith allows me to have flexibility from the bench. I would rather have Stacey on the pitch with the engine that he's got, and he can get up and down, and he's more attacking, which allows for overlaps and stuff and underlaps or whatever he wants to do. So I would rather personally have Stacey.
I think, look at that. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, look, people love Smith, and he's served an incredible purpose, and he would be that understudy that would be fantastic to get involved. Right, player 3, then, ladies and gents, put 3, and then your player in the chat comments. And Tom, you're struggling already. I can tell.
Yeah. This is hard. I just realised how difficult this was. I mean, I thought the last few positions were difficult, but I agree with Tiggs. But in the chat, by the way, with Stacey. But I think Smith is going to have a massive... You remember that season we went up, by the way? Smith barely played, but he was crucial. Games where you're winning, you could bring him on right midfield, etc. These centre-half positions are going to be difficult. Forget we've brought in Gary Cahill as well, and Rossi's looked good. But for me, I thought probably our best player the other day. I think Meps gets overlooked because he's made a few errors at the end of last season. I think Meps, in that right centre-back position, I actually think we've probably got more that can play left centre-back. I think in that player 3 right centre-back position, I'm going to go Meps.
Are you thinking sort of one to take us into the Premier League as opposed to, I mean, look, Steve Cook, we know what he can do. We know what he's done. He does have the odd mistake in him. So does Meps. But, is age a factor here? Gary Cahill at 35. I mean, I suppose he's untested in an AFC Bournemouth shirt at this point in time. So it's hard to tell. So what's your reasoning for going for that? I
think at the moment I'm looking at a partnership as well. So, I'm looking at a partnership. I'm thinking Ibsen Rossi is still young. Kelly's more left side. And Cahill, we haven't seen yet in a Bournemouth shirt. I mean, we know how good he is. At the moment, I would like to see a partnership and think Cahill's there with that experience. If things go wrong or we start conceding goals, we know we can bring him in. It'd be great in games where they're launching balls in the box and et cetera, et cetera. But to be honest, I think that whole game proved that. I know everyone's going to say Cahill. Stop putting it on the screen. But whole game proved that. I thought we had a really good partnership at centre half, and that's why we didn't let it go. But right centre back, I think I think Meps is great, and yeah, I think Meps was probably one of Tyndall's best players. Go back to then as well. He made a couple of errors near the end of the season when he was kind of filling in on the left side as well. But I'm going Meps.
So Cahill to add the experience to the squad and also be an understudy. All right. Well, people might not be agreeing with you here. This is assuming that we're playing 4 at the back, of course, Tom.
Yeah, of course. I think there will be games where we go to a 5, and like Tiggs mentioned earlier with the opposition as well with right back. I think it's we're obviously doing this for a bit of fun because it all depends on the opponents as well on the day. There'll be certain games where I don't know, you're playing Borough away. I think I want Cahill. Do you know what I mean? There'll be certain strikers where I think Cahill's more suited. I'm just trying to look at it and think a partnership, that I could really get behind. And I think you remember Cahill's a clever, intelligent footballer, but he would lack a bit of pace. But I think in a 3, it'll be. I could see him playing centrally in a 3 quite a lot actually, with 2 players with a little bit more pace either side of him. But we'll go with 4, and I'm sticking with Meps.
He's okay. He's going to stick with Meps, but obviously there's a lot of conjecture in the chat, and we appreciate that, and that's why we're doing it. Right, player number 2 here, the left centre back, and look what we'll also do. I think we also do need to perhaps say what we do in a 3 as well, Tiggs. Yeah. Okay. Should we? I mean, do you want to talk us through your choice for player number 2?
So, it's interesting because we've got Meps, and I could put Cookie, or I could put Kelly next to Mepham in this back 4. I probably wouldn't put if you pick. See, Tom's doing this for me. That's why Tom picked Mepham, because he's thinking ahead. He's thinking about Tiggs. Because if he'd picked Gary Cahill, that would make my job way too easy. Because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't do Cookie and Cahill. I don't know why. I just don't feel comfortable with that. I just don't think that's progressive enough. So I'd want. I'd go Kelly as my 2 here. Other people gone Cook though. That's interesting. That is interesting.
I think we need to look at as well that the fact that Kelly's been given the armband straight away from Parker. I think he's one that he's hanging his hat on, isn't he? And he's saying he's going to be our main man. And I think we've got to get behind that. And I think I like with centre halves as much as you can rotate. I do like getting a partnership going. I think we saw last season when Cook and Carter Vickers developed a partnership, it was so much better. And I think if we can I think Mepham and Kelly could be a good partnership, But I don't know if Tiggs agree. If we went to a back 3 centre halves, I'd just shove KO in the middle of them both.
Yeah.
So we've got that experience at the back on those 3 sides, and so player number 4 then, Tom, we're going for one that's not got experience. I mean, Kelly can play that side, but obviously you're suggesting that Scott Parker's almost made his mind up with regards to where he wants to play him.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit pointless of us saying Kelly left back, even if we think he could do it, because it's clear that Parker wants him as a centre back. So I've kind of ruled that out. But yes, mad, isn't it? We've had all this confusion about who to put in what position, but the easiest position is Jordan Zamora. I can't believe that, but it's got to be Jay-Z. There's no one in the chat not saying Jay-Z, surely. Got to be. I think there'll be games where... I think there will be games where maybe during the game and as the game's developing, if it's a tight game, we could maybe use a Smith there, for experience, a Leif Davis and stuff like that. But you've got to start with Jay-Z at the moment. He hasn't put a foot wrong barely. And I think we need to kind of, allow him to keep playing and keep getting better and better. I remember that first 20 minutes against West Brom, I thought he ain't ready. And he's been unbelievable ever since. So, yeah, definitely Jay-Z for me.
But
very attacking, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing is though, right? We're putting Zamora there, and I don't particularly think he's done anything wrong. But Kilkenny, apart from maybe the goal he gave away at Norwich by giving the ball away, he's not done much wrong either. Yeah, I've got a horrible feeling that he's going to be ousted from this side.
We've got too many options in that position. That's why I think at the moment we haven't seen enough of Leif Davis. He hasn't pushed Zamora enough yet. That could change. He's clearly a good footballer, Leif Davis. So that could change. But at the moment, yeah. I mean, at the moment, I'm the same as you, Sam. I don't think he will make it. We'll see now. But I'm struggling because I don't think people respect how brave Gavin Kilkenny's been in that role, and coming to get the ball from deep is a massive thing. And I actually think we missed it against Hull. I think we missed it. We missed someone coming to get the ball and knocking it off quickly. So he's still knocking on the door for me. But yes, this is going to be tough, this 3.
Do you play with a double pivot, or I suppose it depends who we're playing, doesn't it? But let's just assume we're playing a a Blackpool or a Peterborough, then we'll probably draw against them. But anyway, let's just assume we're playing a team that maybe will make Parker have the attacking impetus. Player 6. I've got no idea where we even begin with this, Tiggs.
Well, I think the thing is we're over the course of the last 2 seasons, we've been changing players' roles, haven't we? So some people might say Lerma, but I think if you put Lerma there, he's not going to. His range of passing is not quite as good. Pearson is a better passer of the ball than I thought he was. To be fair, when he's played there, Kilkenny's done a great job. But for me, Lewis Cook played this role for us previously, and if he can stay fit, for me, he's our best at it, probably.
You know what, it's Tom?
Yeah, I probably agree. I agree, but this is not me leaving Lerma out, by the way. I would put Lerma higher up just for his press. I just think in this system, I agree with what Tiggs is saying. I'd rather the 6. It's easy to put a more of a defensive-minded player, but I think that 6, you want someone who's going to go and collect the ball from deep and start the
drive forward.
Yeah. And I would rather a Lerma, say in more of the 7 or an 8, to pressing higher up the pitch and just being a bit of a nuisance and being a bit more what we used to see Harry Arter and Dan Gosling like, and I think Lerma could do that. And and they could always rotate during the game and both sit in times when we need them, etc., etc. So I'm happy to go with Tiggsy there. Put Lewis Cook in there. He's going to be out for a while. So I'd probably go Lewis Cook, but you've got Kilkenny and Pearson could do that role while he's out.
This is and of course, just answering a few people on the chat. This is on the assumption that all our squad are fit, and of course, it's never going to work like that, and that's why we have understudies. Because if everyone was just fit, we'd just have 11 players. Okay, right. You want to shoehorn Lerma in there, right, Tom?
It's not shoehorning, mate. He's too good not to. I still, Mark briefly mentioned it, but I still think you forget because he's had that ban. He's one of the best centre midfield players in the whole division, in my opinion. There's not a team he doesn't get in my opinion. But equally, I feel like I could say that for Lewis Cook, Ben Pearson, and Philip Billing. We have got options, and I think this is why I'd like to say we'd take it with a pinch of salt, because I think these 3 in particular is game dependent, very game dependent. I think there's games where you want Billing, there's games where you maybe don't start Billing, there's games for Marcondes, etc., etc. I'm going, I don't know which way you want to do it, but for me, I don't know how I'm leaving Pearson out, but I'm going Lerma and Billing as my 2.
Lerma and Billing, with Billing on the left side, I presume.
Well, they both like that left side.
They both like that left side.
Because Billing's been working really well with those triangles with Jaden Anthony and Zamora, but it remains to be seen whether you would pick Anthony given the new signings that we've got.
True. I think I'll go on. I would go Billing left, Lerma right. I'd go Billing 7, Lerma 8. What do you think, Tiggs?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
But we've still got to remember, Christie might come in, and it's very difficult not to pick these players. But how can I pick Christie over players that I've seen do it? Do you know what I mean? But I do expect Christie to knock on the door.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, so we go Billing left for the meantime. Wow. I mean, I say these are big calls. They're not really, because it's never going to work quite like this. All right, then. Wide men. Tiggs?
Okay. This is really, really hard. Okay, well, I'm going to go player 10 Brooks. I think that's just.
And this is just assuming that he's in form, because if he's not, he could be dropped now, and he's got a bit of competition, whereas previously up to this point he's had none.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so I think Christie could come in there. Marcondes potentially could. Rogers certainly could. Yeah. Leif Davis could. That won't happen again, hopefully. But yeah, Brooks, I think, on the right. And then on the left.
Oh, God, I forgot we just bought Lowe as well.
So I think Jaden Anthony is amazing.
It's got to go low.
And I really like him and Zamora together. But
however, I've noticed, and a few people said this, Jaden Anthony, I've noticed a few times this season, he's great with the no-look pass, and he plays a lot of forward balls, and he's had a few assists. But recently, I found his product has been good up to a point, and as I said on the second look, and that point is getting into the box.
Yeah.
And I would like to see a bit more. It would be a shame to break up this whole combination with Zamora and Anthony, but there's no reason that someone like Lowe couldn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Lowe. Is Lowe right-footed? Does anyone know if Lowe's left or right-footed? Because
I think he's right-footed. I think he likes to come on.
That'd be great if he is, because that's what we want, isn't it? Running inside. So yeah, Lowe, I think, player 9. I can't believe we haven't even talked about Stanislas in this conversation at all.
Well, even when we're assuming everyone's fit, I still think he must be injured.
Yeah.
But no, I think Stanislas is still going to be big to the squad, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Coming in and out. But I would probably go with that. I think so. I think Anthony's just. I agree with you, Sam. But I think Anthony's just showing what I expect him to show. He's a raw young player that's got nice bits of magic, nice feet, but occasionally his decision making is not always bang on. The end product, like you say, but he's going to play a good part as well. And he's someone that I think could cause problems off the bench because he's got a bit of pace behind him as well. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and just confirming what Tom said, he's right-footed. And then up front, I mean, look, he's a player that Christian said he's a player that we, really wanted to get his hat trick in that match against Blackpool. His goal against Birmingham City, I thought, was absolutely superb. But through conversations with other teams, Tom, they are loving his work rate, aren't they? Yeah,
it was interesting. I spoke to a few opposition fans, done a few videos for different kind of channels when we've been away from home, and all of them have just been like, God, Solanke's good, isn't he? And we haven't really looked at it because we just go, oh, did he score? Okay, yeah, obviously that's a big part of him, and he will score goals. We know he'll score goals. He scored goals last season. But I'll tell you what, he puts a shift in, doesn't he, that boy? And again, against Hull, he's everywhere. And I just feel that he's going to get so much now, he's going to have people so much closer to him. Yeah. I think Lerma and Pearson coming back as well are the sort of people that will allow like a Billing to push on even further. Lowe, as a winger that's played up front, will naturally want to move in and get closer. And I think it's going to help Don massively. But he's, for me, out of every player, if you said you can't have an injury, it's Dom Solanke. I think he's that key for us at the moment. So, yeah, he's first name on the team sheet for me, leaning that line. But nice to see we've got a few options there if the worst were to come to the worst. But didn't even take him to Norwich, which was a big shout to say that's how important he is.
And when you look at the players that we've got that are not being played in there at the moment, Christie, Pearson, Steve Cook, Kilkenny,
we can make
Leif
a second
Davis,
11,
Adam Smith. And Tom, you were saying that this sort of squad is shaping up to sort of remind you of a squad from the past, right?
Yeah, I was saying to you earlier. I think last season on paper looked amazing, didn't it? A lot of unbelievable football. It was a bit like the one that went down, the team that got relegated. And on paper, that team looks a lot stronger than the team that won the league. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't work like that, does it? Football doesn't work like that. You need a lot more than just paper and players on paper. I think we, especially at the start of the season, went through the motions a little bit too much. I feel this team looks as close to the team that won that title. Whether I don't expect them to win the title, but what I'm saying is they look like a good mix, don't they, of youth experience, players that have come up through the leagues, players that are still trying to get their opportunity, and there's a real nice balance. I felt we looked a bit disjointed. I didn't really know last season. It felt like we had a lot of good players, but the balance wasn't right. I feel like there's a better balance here, and Tiggs alluded to it earlier, where we've got a few players that can fill in different positions and help out. There's not a player, even though, like we said then with Solanke, there's certain players that we think will start every week, but there's no one that hasn't got someone breathing down their neck now. And that's crucial. We, like we said there, we barely mentioned Stanislas. We don't have Gary Cahill and Steve Cook aren't getting in our side there. We've got players in each position now. We can easily adapt in different systems, I feel. We could easily go to a 3. We could easily put 2 up top. We can do a lot of different things now. So I like the balance. I like what Scott Parker's done there. And I think what he's managed to squeeze out of this group, like I said, without having his team and having a lot of young players, you look at that team now and how it's shaping up. I mean, I reckon our most used team this season, a lot of them players, we haven't put in that team there, and we're unbeaten. So exciting times, mate.
Definitely exciting times. Any closing comments, Tiggs?
Any closing comments? We've made what, including the sell-on that we got for Rambo, we've made 27 million-ish, 28 million-ish, and we've spent maybe 5, and we've got 7 signings in. in this transfer window. So yeah, good business all round, done a great job, and I think it's definitely good. It'd be interesting to see what we do in January now, because apart from the goalkeeper position, I just don't see us needing to get anybody in. Hopefully.
Interesting. Tiggs, thank you very much for your company tonight, sir.
Thank you.
And Tom, thank you for your company tonight, today, the weekend, probably
day.
Tomorrow when I wake up, when I go to bed. Which is always there, always.
Cheers, boss.
Just want to say a big thank you to our supporters. We had a couple more recently, and I haven't had time to update the closing graphic. So everyone that's supported us, Richard Jackson, Steve Hensman, David Codron, John Amos, Andy Marsh, Sammy Nell there. And there's some more that aren't quite showing at the top of my screen. But I just wanted to say a big shout out to Dave King, because he is one of them. Thank you so much, Dave. Really appreciate your support. Absolutely superb. And also, we had one from Terry Nichols as well, supporting us monthly. Your names will get added to the Roll of Honour. Thank you very much for watching. There's some more content on the way this week, including Golf Day, our Away Fans Guide, the Away Fans Review, and a lot more. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Other cherries.